Beneath the veneer of skepticism, reality bears witness to chilling truths. In the haunting corridors of history, where shadows dance with undeniable evidence, remember this, the stories are true. Prepare for a revelation. Where the supernatural is stripped of fiction, and the unknown is laid bare. Are you ready to confront the undeniable? The stories are true, and the echoes of reality await.
Alright, picture this. Kip, our brave soul from the wilds of New York, decides to buy an ancient house with his wife. They're practically time travelers moving into this relic. Now, the story takes a hilarious turn when his wife, with the hospitality of a saint, invites her sis and a baby over for a visit. So, there they are, cozy in their new place. Kip's wife, being the responsible homeowner, takes the upstairs bedroom, while her sis and the baby camp out downstairs. Classic setup, right? But hold on, the comedy kicks in when Kip spills the supernatural beans on a podcast called Monsters Among Us. Apparently, the first night they had guests, the sister gets into a late night chat with an invisible friend. Imagine that. The sister wakes up, sees an old lady creeping over the baby, and asks to play Ghostbuster, shouting, "Hey, nincompoop, get away from the crib." Now, the hilarity doesn't end there. They've got lamps playing musical chairs, and the showstopper, a smoke alarm going bonkers while Kip's wife is out gardening. She dashes in, Sherlock Holmes style, only to find a room filled with white fog. Really? Ghosts? Couldn't you choose a less stereotypical presentation? Then, in a magical blink, the fog vanishes, and the alarm's like, just kidding, folks. Here comes the plot twist. They decide to be good citizens and investigate the history of their haunted haven. Lo and behold, turns out the previous owner was a 90-year-old lady who met a fiery end in the house. Cue the spooky background music. Needless to say, Kip and wifey aren't sticking around for ghost tea parties. They fix up the place faster than you can say boo, and haul out of there faster than a cat seeing a cucumber. And that, my friend, is how Kip and his wife became accidental Ghostbusters and gave a haunted house a makeover. Who are you gonna call? Definitely not Kip.
Oh, buckle up for this wild tale from the Ohio State Reformatory. You know, the joint where they filmed The Shawshank Redemption. So it's not just famous for movie magic, it's got a whole claptrap of ghost stories going on. Now picture this old penitentiary shut down in 1990 just chilling in Mansfield, Ohio. Apparently it's not just rust and memories haunting the place, but full-on ghosts and spirits. Teresa Argy, aka the Haunted Housewife, spills the beans on this spooky situation. According to Teresa, the reformatory had this crazy vein of violence running through it from the get-go. No surprise, right? I mean, you can't host the bad boys of crime without stirring up some paranormal potpourri. Teresa says you can practically feel the negativity in your bones, and I'm thinking, well, that's not your typical real estate charm. Now, the ghost gossip, there's a female spirit who's like the former warden's wife. Poor lady got accidentally shot while reaching for a box in a closet. Ghostly stuff, right? Teresa says they've got recordings of her crying and even caught a whiff of rose perfume in the mix. Real classy haunting, I must say. Then there's this weeping woman in the prison chapel, just shedding ghostly tears. Teresa tried to approach her, but poof, she pulls a Houdini. Others claim to see her strolling around, keeping it ghost chic. Now enter the not-so-friendly ghost. Teresa claims to have a full-on chat with this malevolent presence. She says he was cussing at her like a ghostly sailor. Spooky, but nothing compared to the drama that unfolded when he decided to play hide and scare by following Teresa's partner home. Through a window reflection, she spots this shadowy figure, and it's the angry ghost on a stroll. Cue the paranormal expert for backup, and according to Teresa, after that, Mr. Angry Ghost went MIA. Phew, Ghostbusters got nothing on this ghost whisperer action. So next time you're in Mansfield, Ohio, and you hear someone talking about the Ohio State Reformatory, just know it's not only a movie set, but also a haunted house party waiting to happen. Talk about a claptrap of spookiness.
Alright, gather round folks, because Uncle Joe's got a wild tale about his brother and a haunted house in Georgia. Yeah, the Peach State turned into the peaky scary state for these folks. So, Joe bounces from sunny California to Georgia, right? And of course, his brother, being the whippersnapper he is, decides to follow suit and snag an ancient 1800s house. You know, the kind that looks good on the outside, but feels like a ghost is giving you side-eye on the inside. Joe's spidey senses start tingling the moment he steps foot in that creaky joint. He's like, oh man, this place is giving me the heebie-jeebies. Hair on the back of his neck doing the wave, stomach doing somersaults, classic horror movie vibes. But hold on, it gets better. While lugging stuff into the bedroom, Joe hears some fancy ghostly debate going on up near the ceiling, whispering like they're plotting the next spectral poker night or something. Joe, being the brave soul he is, hauls it out of there faster than you can say boo. He checks with his brother like, dude, you feel the weirdness too, right? Brother's all, yeah, it's a bit off, but we'll survive. As long as you're good, I'm good. Spoiler alert, Uncle Joe ain't good. He's feeling the get me out of here vibes. He even tells his brother, I'm going home, and I'll probably never come back here. Wise move, my man. Fast forward, and guess what? Brother starts living in his own horror movie. Niece goes for a solo stroll on a busy road, hand up like she's hailing a ghostly taxi. Cops get involved, investigation mode on. And get this, the little nugget spills the beans about her stroll with the old lady that lives here. Opened the heavy door herself, petted the dog the whole ghostly tour experience. Joe's like, she's so honest, can't call her a liar at 4 years old. In the end, brother packs up, moves faster than a ghost on rollerblades, and never looks back. Georgia's loss, I guess. But hey, lesson learned, if a house gives you the creeps, listen to Uncle Joe and make like a banana split.
All right, buckle up for this wild tale about the Stanley Hotel, a posh joint in Colorado that went from fancy mountain retreat to a spooky blockbuster inspiration. So, this place has been standing tall for over a century, meant for rich folks wanting to escape into the mountains. But as time rolled on, it hit a bit of a rough patch. By the 70s, it was on the struggle bus until the man, the myth, the horror legend Stephen King rolled in for a night. You know, just your casual evening that led to him penning The Shining. No big deal. Thanks to that book and the movie, the Stanley Hotel bounced back. Now it's a hot spot for folks wanting to soak in the eerie vibes that fueled one of the spookiest movies ever made. Enter our hero, Henry Yao from Texas. He hears the ghostly rumors, thinks, why not check it out, and heads there in 2016 for a last-minute vacay. After a chill dinner, he strolls around, clicks some pick standard tourist stuff. But here's where it gets good. He takes a pick at the staircase, waits for the crowd to disperse, and snaps away, thinking it's just a casual shot. Fast forward to that night, and boom, collywobbles hit him like a freight train. He's shivering, feeling like he's got a ghostly flu or something. His buddy suggests the ER, but Yao's all, nah, I'll tough it out. On the way home, he's scrolling through his pics, and there it is, a pic of someone on the stairs. Only problem, no one was there when he took the shot. Cue the spooky music. Next day, he throws the pic on Instagram, half joking about capturing a ghost, and bam, he's suddenly the Ghostbuster of the internet. Media outlets and paranormal experts are knocking on his digital door, analyzing his pic like it's the next Da Vinci. Experts have theories to ghosts, ghost energy stealing, you name it. And what's Yao's take? No idea, he says with a laugh. Classic ghostly mystery, wrapped in a collywobble-infused enigma.
So, picture this. Jeff, our hero from Dayton, Ohio, is cruising around town with his 3-year-old son, Miles, riding shotgun in the back seat. They're having a grand old time, probably singing some Amityx or the Wheels on the Bus, toddler anthems. Now, here comes the twist in our tale. They roll past this quaint little cemetery that's more flowers and tiny plaques than spooky vibes. Jeff, being the chill dad, casually mentions on Monsters Among Us that the cemetery looks like a giant garden. Nice touch, right? Suddenly, the toddler's serenade comes to a screeching halt. Miles, the tiny human with a knack for dramatic pauses, points at the cemetery and shouts, "Look at all those people." Jeff, playing detective, cranes his neck but sees nada. He's like, "Codswallop, what people?" Now, here's where it gets juicy. Jeff, bewildered, interrogates the toddler genius. Miles, with the wisdom of a sage, drops the bomb. All those people over there, there sure are a lot of grandmas. Hold up, grandmas. In a cemetery? What's the family reunion like there? Jeff, feeling a chill, not just from the air conditioning, asks the crucial question, what are these grandmas up to, kiddo? Brace yourself. Miles, with the gravitas of a toddler Shakespeare, says, they're all standing there, looking down at the grass. Cue spooky music. Now, at this point, Jeff is all shades of unsettled. He slams the gas pedal, making a swift exit from Grandma Central. Fast forward to later that day, Miles is chilling, watching some cartoons. Out of the blue, he turns to Jeff and drops a bombshell. You know, they weren't alive. Jeff, probably questioning his life choices at this point, tries to decode this cryptic message. Alive? What do you mean, buddy? He asks. Miles, with the nonchalance only a kid could muster, drops the mic. Those people we saw, they were all paused. Jeff, in disbelief, wonders if his kids got a sixth sense or just a wild imagination. Either way, I'd say that Cemetery Drive was anything but a leisurely Sunday cruise. Codswallop indeed.
All right, buckle up for a slice of history served with a side of spooky. So, back in 1892, this couple, Andrew and Abbey Borden, were discovered axed to bits in their home in Fall River, Massachusetts. Now, murders weren't exactly a rarity back then, but what made this case stand out was that their own daughter, Lizzie Borden, was the prime suspect. And get this, she allegedly bludgeoned them with an axe. Fast forward to today, and their house has turned into a B&B and museum. People flock there, hoping to catch a glimpse of some ghostly action. You know, the usual hauntings, laughter in the dead of night, furniture playing musical chairs, and toys deciding to throw a party when no one's around. Suzanne St. John, a realtor and tour guide at the Lizzie Borden house, spilled the beans. She started off just caring about the history, not the paranormal mumbo-jumbo. But guess what? Things got real spooky real quick. Guests claim they hear giggles and games after hours, and objects move around like they've got a mind of their own. Suzanne herself stumbled upon a room with toys scattered around, as if they were having a toy rebellion. Then there's the picture that decided to do the cha-cha across the floor for no apparent reason, and a closet door playing hide and seek without an invitation. And here's the real kicker on the anniversary of the murders. Suzanne and her crew felt a sharp pain in their left eyes, the exact same spot where Andrew Borden met his unfortunate end. Talk about eerie coincidences. But wait, there's more. One time, a tour guide asked everyone to silence their cell phones. Classic move, right? But then a guest's phone rings, and when asked, she goes, "Oh, it's just my mom." The tour guide, trying to be considerate, suggests she takes the call. The lady's response, "Can't, she kicked the bucket 2 years ago." Gastromancy, my friend, is when the spirits communicate through laughter, and it seems like the Borden house is hosting a ghostly comedy club. Tickle Brainy Tales, Salem's ghostly choir director and Alicia Diaz's spooky symphony. So let me tickle brain you with this quirky story about Alicia Diaz, the ultimate multitasker teacher, tour guide, and boss lady of Salem Kids Tours. Now, usually, Alicia's all about the riveting tales of Salem's history, but there's this one ghostly gig that gets her cracking up. Picture this. First church in Salem, the go-to haunt for a friendly ghost who's apparently a diva with kids. Only the pint-sized bunch, around 4 or 5 years old, can spot her. They'll toddle up to Alicia, wide-eyed, and spill the ghostly beans about a lady in a long dress, long sleeves, belting out tunes with the choir. Alicia's been hearing about this spectral serenader since the groovy 60s. Now you'd think she'd chuckle it off, but nope, her own son threw a curvy ball. He once pointed to the choir loft, giving the lowdown on the lady who jams with the choir. Cue Alicia's chill moment. "Oh, absolutely chilled," she says. Apparently, the main sanctuary at First Church has this vibe, a bit like feeling the presence of the past. Not the creepy, hair-raising kind, though. It's more like a cozy history hug, or an energy that's as comforting as Grandma's apple pie. So, next time you're in Salem, keep an eye out for the ghostly choir director. Who knows, maybe she'll toss in a few spectral dance moves for good measure.
Oh, brace yourself for the bonkers saga of the Willoughby Coal Building in Ohio, a place that's seen more drama than a soap opera. So, back in the late 1800s, this joint was like a business chameleon, hosting everything from a train depot to a cheese factory. Yep, it had more costume changes than Lady Gaga at an award show. In 1912, it hit the big time as the Willoughby Coal, supplying locals with the good old black gold. Fast forward to the 1930s, it lands in the laps of Henry Windus and William Don Norris. Now these two were like a sitcom waiting to happen. Imagine Coal Chronicles, the Odd Couple edition. Apparently, Henry wanted to buy out Don's share, but Don was playing hardball. It's like the 1800s version of a business bromance gone sour. One fateful day, Don tells his wife he's off for bread and some building checkup. Spoiler alert. The guy vanishes into thin air. Hours later, bam, his lifeless form graces the doorstep in a blood-stained welcome. Officially, they called it an accident, but Teresa Argy, our paranormal investigator extraordinaire, says Don's family thought it was murder. And here's where it gets wild. They reckon his spirit is still giving the coal building some serious side-eye. Teresa spills the beans about run-ins with Don's ghost, claiming he's become a bit of a permanent resident like the spirit landlord of the joint. Faces in the window, mysterious footsteps, it's like a supernatural sitcom with Don as the lead and a supporting cast of 5 or 6 other ghostly roomies. So if you're ever in Willoughby, keep an eye out for the coal building. You might just catch Don making a spectral sandwich run or overseeing some spooky repairs. Oh man, you won't believe the tale of Marty and the haunted ventriloquist doll. So, back in the 90s, Marty's dad stumbles upon this ventriloquist doll in a creepy magic shop outside Santa Rosa. Classic dad move, right? He buys it for Marty's birthday, thinking it's all fun and games. Now, the cashier gives him these weird vibes and drops a bomb like, when you put your hand inside the doll, he's gonna come alive. Dad probably thought it was a joke and laughed it off. Fast forward to Marty being over the moon, obsessed with her new dummy, thinking life's all rainbows and unicorns. But, plot twist. Weird stuff starts happening. The doll, with its supposedly rock-hard plastic head, starts changing expressions. Like really, who knew dolls took improv classes? Marty's family freaks out and starts locking the thing up every night. Then they wake up to tiny footsteps, thinking it's the dog or a sneaky family member, but nope, it's just the doll chilling on the couch. Even Marty's uncle gets in on the action. He hears Marty's dad calling him from the living room when no one's home. Surprise, surprise, it's the doll pulling another couch-sitting stunt. The family, scared out of their wits, decides it's time to kick the doll out. Marty's Mexican and religious parents are like, let's burn this sucker in case it's demonic. But hold on, this doll is practically fireproof. They grill it, try the knife trick, toss it in the trash, and what do they find? The doll chilling in the garbage bin like it's a cozy Airbnb. Finally, they're like, enough is enough, and bury it in the backyard, surrounded by a fortress of cement. Marty and the gang move away, but they're haunted by the thought that this doll might just show up on their doorstep one day, ready to party. Lesson learned. Be careful when buying ventriloquist dolls, folks. You might end up with a stubborn, fire-resistant, couch-loving nightmare on your hands.
Ghostly Grandpa's Bedtime Stories, Jacqueline's Hilarious Haunting with Pa Hank, The Prohibition Ghost Pal. All right, buckle up for this spooky yet hilarious tale from Jacqueline in Oklahoma. So, Picture this, little Jacqueline running around with an imaginary friend, right? But hold on to your hat, because this ain't your usual make-believe buddy. So, Jacqueline's grandparents, the legends Granny Junie and Pa Hank, lived in this quaint house with a chill backyard. Now, Jacqueline swears by the podcast monsters among us and spills the beans about her childhood shenanigans. Apparently, Pa Hank, the granddaddy of cool stories, would sit under a tree spinning tales about his wild prohibition days. Like, imagine a ghost grandpa with a history lesson. Jacqueline is all nostalgic, saying he was actually a very interesting character. No kidding, imaginary friends of class in Oklahoma. But here's the kicker. Pa Hank took his skedaddle from this world in 1981, and Jacqueline made her grand entrance in 1982. Time travel. Anyone. She didn't even realize she was getting ghost stories until way later. Cue the plot twist. And get this, Granny Junie, the old ghost spotter, wouldn't stay home on the anniversary of Pa Hank's death. Like, no way, she's out of there. Ghost parties, much. Jacqueline's reminiscing about Pa Hank getting up in the middle of the night. Ghostly midnight snacks, perhaps. She admits, it never occurred to me that these were memories of an entity. Classic case of ghostly obliviousness. Now, looking back, Jacqueline realizes her childhood imaginary friend was none other than her ghostly grandpa. But you know what? It wasn't all eerie and hair-raising. Nah, it felt more like shooting the breeze with Pa Hank. So, there you have it. Jacqueline's childhood filled with spectral storytelling and midnight skedaddles. Well, new ghostly relatives could be the best imaginary friends. It's like Casper, but with a family twist.
Alright, buckle up for a wild ride through time and tunnels. So Treasurer's house, this grade 2 hottie, is just casually lounging in Minster Yard, throwing shade next to York Minster. It's like the Beyoncé of historical homes, owned by the National Trust and all, just nonchalantly straddling one of York's ancient Roman roads like it owns the place, which, technically, it does. Now, let's rewind the clock to 1953, where our hero Harry Martindale, the 18-year-old pipe whisperer, is deep in the basement, probably surrounded by leaky pipes, rusty wrenches, and a toolbox that's seen better days. As he's there doing his plumbing acrobatics, he suddenly tunes into a symphony of trumpet-like notes. Imagine fixing pipes and getting a full-on ancient Roman fanfare as your background music. Harry, perched on his ladder, probably thought he had accidentally stumbled onto the set of a Gladiator sequel. And what's the sight that greets him? Not a bunch of rats doing the conga, no. It's 9 or 10 pairs of Roman soldiers, marching like they're auditioning for a historical flash mob. Formation and all. Now, I don't know about you, but my plumber never mentioned time-traveling Romans when he came to fix the sink. Cut to today, and you can still embark on daily tours in that same basement. Sadly, no Romans doing the cha-cha, but hey, there's always hope for a spontaneous time travel party. And as you venture into the depths of history, keep your ears wide open for any unexpected eruptations. Not just from the pipes, who knows, maybe those Romans left a few ghostly burps behind. Cheers to the unexpected surprises in the annals of history, and may your plumbing adventures be free of ancient apparitions and spectral belches.
Hey buddy, gather round for a tale that's spookier than a bat-fouling expedition. So there's this place called Bolton Abbey, right? Picture it, a once majestic Augustinian monastery that has seen better days. Now, it's a hotspot for ghostly shenanigans, and I'm not talking about the friendly Casper kind. Legend has it, there's a spectral dude named the Black Cannon haunting the joint. Imagine a guy in his late 60s rocking a black cassock and cloak. Rumor has it he kicked the bucket right before the dissolution of the monasteries, and now he's stuck in ghostly limbo. His ghostly antics involve sandaled feet pattering around like he's late for some otherworldly meeting. Now, one brave soul, Tim Atkinson, decided to snap some pics of Bolton Abbey in the dark. Lo and behold, when he was going through his shots, he stumbled upon what can only be described as a ghostly photobomb. There's a face peering down on the entrance like it's checking out the afterlife's red carpet. Tim even claims he spotted 2 hounds howling in the bottom corner. Ghostly canines, who knew? After the encounter, Tim spilled the beans, saying, "We felt like somebody was there watching us all the time." Spooky vibes, right? And the dude's not alone. He's convinced there are 2 or 3 ghostly faces photobombing his snapshots. Talk about an unwanted ghostly photo shoot. Now, the star of the ghostly show is none other than the Black Canyon, the monk who supposedly met his end around the time Henry VIII was doing his dissolution of the monastery's thing. If you ever find yourself wandering through the Abbey, keep an ear out for sandaled footsteps and a nose tuned in for the scent of mysterious incense. It's like a spiritual scavenger hunt. But fear not, my friend, cause Yorkshire's ghosts ain't getting anywhere near our Sing Gin stash. Nope, we've got a fearless gargoyle on duty, not just as a bottle decoration, but also as the guardian of our distillery. That stone sentinel keeps us and the gin safe from ghostly mischief. Cheers to ghost-free gin adventures.
Hey there, buckle up for a trip back to the 17th century where ghosts, battles, and a dash of comedy await us. So in the quaint village of Marston, there's this spooky battlefield called Marston Moor. Picture this: Oliver Cromwell, the cool cat of the English Civil War, bunked in the old hall the night before a big showdown in 1644. Rumor has it his ghost still RSVPs for overnight stays there. But wait, there's more. Since 1932, folks have been spotting ghostly groups of exhausted-looking dudes wandering around. They're believed to be the poor souls of royalist troops and cavaliers, probably regretting that last-minute decision to join the battle. Now, let's talk numbers. Cromwell's cavalry went all ninja on the royalists, with 4,000 of them meeting their folly-fallen fate. This clash, known as Marston Moor, is like the Avengers, in game of English history, right up there with the Battle of Towton. Blood was spilled, scars were made, and the area has been haunted ever since. Fast forward to 1932, where 2 buddies out for a drive saw 3 guys in snazzy 17th century attire, big hats and all. But plot twist, when the car slowed down, poof, they vanished, leaving our friends bewildered. And it's not a one-time show. Similar sightings in '68 left tourists thinking they stumbled upon drunken actors. Nope, turns out they were just 17th century fashionistas having a stroll on the battlefield. Now, enter Imogen Peck, the supernatural Sherlock of our story. She digs into archives and discovers that Yorkshire and the North were the odd ghost story hotspots post-Civil War. The news sheets back in the day ate these tales up like popcorn at a movie. One gem is a pamphlet from 1659 reporting exhaliatin in the air over Marston Moor. Picture fiery pillars, troops battling it out, and the Northern Army showing off their ghostly victory. Classic 17th century spin. Hey, it's just Parliament and His Highness kicking popish and foreign Confederates. No biggie. And there you have it, Marston Moor, the ghostly runway of 17th century fashion, where battles were fought, legends were born, and fashion faux pas were forever etched into the ghostly archives.
Hey there, so imagine this. Armley Mills in Leeds, once the largest woolen mill in the world, is like a ghost party central. I mean, we're talking about a place with a haunting reputation that dates back ages. Ghosts here are as lively as a Saturday night, and not in the good way. Picture this massive mill where Victorian workers toiled away under pretty harsh conditions during the cotton boom. And guess what? Some of them are still hanging around, pulling pranks and making their presence known. We're talking about kiddos as young as 6, playing hide and seek from the other side. They tug on your clothes, throw things around, typical ghostly mischief. Now, this mill has a history that's straight out of a drama. Back in the day, it was owned by Colonel Thomas Lloyd, who leased it to the Burroughs brothers. These guys built houses for themselves along the canal, probably to get away from the ghostly shenanigans. Fast forward, the place gets sold, burned down, and then rebuilt by Benjamin Block. It was like a real estate roller coaster, but with more flames. And hey, did I mention the smell of burning? Yeah, turns out there's a Victorian gentleman wandering around with a whiff of something scorched. Could be a ghostly BBQ gone wrong, or maybe a tragic echo from the past, when a fire in the old corn mill caused some serious mayhem. But wait, there's more. You can join the brave souls at Haunted Happenings for overnight ghost hunts. They even had the cast of Emmerdale on one of their escapades, and they're still talking about it. Imagine soap stars and ghosts sharing the Spotlight Classic. So, if you're up for slamming doors, mysterious footsteps, and the occasional disappearing reappearing act, Armley Mills is the place to be. And yes, it's all spiced up with a touch of history, a sprinkle of comedy, and a dash of paranormal mischief. Ghostly fun, anyone?
Oh, you won't believe the drama at Stone's Public House in Ashland, Massachusetts. It's not just a haunted restaurant, it's practically a ghost fiesta. I mean, they don't have a ghost problem, they've got a ghost problem. So, picture this. Janet Morazzini, the fearless bartender and manager, holds the fort at this historic joint built by John Stone back in 1832. Now, Stone's place has more spirits than a haunted liquor cabinet. And I'm not talking about the liquid kind, my friend. First up, there's this young boy ghost doing the rounds like he's on a supernatural tour. Why? Because apparently the joint pulled double duty as a makeshift hospital during the Spanish flu in 1918. Talk about ghosts clocking in for a spooky shift. But wait, there's more. A tragic tale of a girl struck by a train while playing near the railroad tracks. Classic ghost material, right? A father and son even witnessed her ghostly presence, with the son insisting he saw her. Dad's all like, "Nope, just us, buddy. Ghostly family drama, anyone?" And then there's the big boss ghost, John Stone himself. Now, he didn't actually kick the bucket there, but rumor has it he's playing guardian angel to the joint. Talk about a hands-on proprietorship from beyond the grave. Now, Janet, the brave soul, once heard footsteps stomping on the second floor when she was all alone. No logical explanation, just ghostly tap dancing. Her response? "I'm out of here." Can't blame her who wants to be the third wheel in a ghostly tango. But here's the kicker. Janet swears these spirits aren't up to no good. No hair-raising, spine-tingling fear, just a lively bunch of apparitions having a ghostly good time. Stone's Public House, where the spirits are friendly, but the stories are frickin' fantastic.
Oh, buckle up for this wild ride, my friend. So back in the 90s, our gal Julie from Portland was cruising to meet her buddies when she hit the traffic jackpot, and not the good kind. Picture this, a gnarly car crash causing chaos, and Julie stuck right in the middle of it. Talk about a party pooper. Now here's where it gets gobsmackingly bizarre. Julie, just an 18-year-old with a front row seat to traffic drama, notices a woman chilling in her passenger seat. Yep, you heard that right. A real-life ghost hitchhiker casually hanging out like it's a carpool to the afterlife. Julie, being the hero she is, tries to keep her cool. But this ghostly gal, oh, she's freaking out even more than Julie. Imagine being dead, then suddenly finding yourself in some teenager's Toyota that's enough to throw anyone off. So our girl Julie, in her most soothing voice, goes, "Ma'am, chillax, I'm Julie, and I'm here to save the day." Classic Julie move, right? She spills the beans about the car accident, and it turns out Ghosty McGhostface was one of the casualties on the roadside tragedy. In a movie-like moment, as they roll past the gap in the trees, Julie convinces the ghost to strut towards the light and poof, she's gone. Now, at this point, Julie's probably thinking she needs to lay off the spicy burritos or something, but nope. Days later, she's watching the news, and boom, there's Ghosty's photo smack in the middle of a tragic car accident story. Julie's gobsmacked. We're gobsmacked. Everybody's gobsmacked. Life lesson. Never underestimate the power of a teenage driver, especially when they're cruising through the supernatural lane. And that, my friend, is the tale of Julie and the ghostly Carpool Surprise.
All right, gather round, my friends, because I've got a tale that'll make your hair stand on end, and it involves more than just a splash of gin. So, picture this. Fountains Abbey in Ripon, a place so picturesque it inspired the design of Sing Jin's bottle. But way before the gin came into the scene, Fountains Hall was playing host to a cast of ghostly characters, making it spookier than a cat on a hot tin roof. Now, Sir Stephen Proctor built this place between 1598 and 1604, and it's said to be haunted by his daughter's blue ghost. Apparently, she caught wind of her dad's shifty dealings and decided to stick around eternal family drama, am I right? People claim they can hear ghostly chanting from the Chapel of Nine Altars like a spectral choir of monks throwing a paranormal concert. Oh, but that's not all. There's a shining golden lady from the 18th century who used to play nurse to sick kids in the dead of night. I mean, come on, even ghosts have a soft spot for the little ones. Fast forward a bit, and you've got Fountains Abbey, one of England's most well-preserved monasteries, founded in 1132. It lasted a solid 400 years until Henry VIII pulled the plug on monastic shenanigans in 1539. Now it's a Grade 1 listed building, proudly owned by the National Trust, and part of the whole shebang that is the Studley Royal Park, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. But wait, there's more ghostly gossip. The echoes of choral plainsong have been reported, adding a touch of spectral ambience to the already haunted mix. And then there's Fountains Hall itself, a country house crafted by Sir Stephen with a dash of stone borrowed from the Abbey ruins. It's like recycling with a side of paranormal. This place is so haunted, it's practically the VIP lounge for apparitions. We're talking a woman in blue and an Elizabethan-era dude casually strolling through oak paneling like it's a ghostly runway show. So there you have it, Fountains Abbey and Fountains Hall, where history meets the supernatural, and the spirits are sipping on something stronger than Sing Jin. It's a dismal, dreaming ghost extravaganza, my friends. Cheers to haunted history.
All right, buckle up for a tale straight out of Lancaster, Ohio, featuring one cranky pooch named Cricket. So, Sarah's spilling the beans on her childhood ghost dog. Yeah, you heard that right, a spectral pup. Now, Cricket wasn't your typical tail wagger. Nope, she was more of a ranivorous canine. That's a fancy word for cranky, by the way. Anyway, this doggo only had eyes for Sarah's grandma. Talk about a furry granny's girl. But tragedy struck when Cricket decided to play chicken with a passing car and ended up as roadkill. Ouch, talk about a rough day. Sarah's fam was crushed, especially since they were about to jet off on vacation. Tough timing, huh? Now, here's where it gets spooky. Even though Cricket kicked the bucket, Sarah's fam decided to stick to their vacay plans, leaving Cricket's care in the hands of an auntie. Fast forward to their hotel stay, and the vibes were as gloomy as a Monday morning. But hold on to your hats, because this is where things take a paranormal twist. In the dead of night, pun totally intended, Sarah wakes up to find Cricket's ghost chillin' on her bedroom floor. And get this, Cricket's not looking all cranky and grumpy anymore. Nope, she's bounding around like she just won the doggy lottery. Sarah's like, what in the world? But in a more panicked way, I'm sure. She tells her mom about the ghostly encounter, but Mama Bear chalks it up to Sarah's middle school brain playing tricks. Classic mom move, right? But Sarah ain't buying it. To this day, she swears she saw Cricket's ghost, and it brought her some much-needed peace. I mean, who wouldn't feel better seeing their furball friend frolicking in ghostly bliss? So there you have it, a ghostly tale, straight from the heartland. Who knew Lancaster had such supernatural secrets, huh?
All right, grab a seat and get ready for a spine-tingling tale straight from the Empire State. So, Kip's dishing out the deets on their new digs, a cozy old house they scooped up with all the excitement of winning the lottery. Now picture this. Kip's wife invites her sis and her brand spanking new baby for a visit. They're all settling in for the night, minding their own business, when things start to get a tad eerie. Kip's wife wakes up to her sister chatting away in the wee hours of the night. No biggie, right? Wrong. Because when she asks who her sis is babbling to, she gets hit with the bombshell. Oh, just an old lady creeping on the baby, her sis casually replies. Cue the spooky music. But wait, there's more. The house turns into a real-life haunted mansion with lamps deciding to play hide-and-seek and fire alarms throwing impromptu parties. Picture Kip's wife outside, innocently tending to her garden, when suddenly, the smoke alarm starts blaring like it's auditioning for a horror movie soundtrack. She dashes inside, only to be greeted by a room engulfed in, you guessed it, white fog. Talk about a whoa, what the heck moment. But just as quick as it appeared, poof, the fog vanishes into thin air, leaving them scratching their heads and questioning their sanity. Turns out their quaint little abode had a tragic past. The previous owner, a sweet old lady who met her end in a fiery blaze, yikes! Naturally, Kip and co. waste no time getting the heck out of Dodge. I mean, who wants to live in a house with a ghostly granny making surprise appearances, right? Off they go, leaving behind the phantasm-filled shenanigans for someone else to deal with. And that, my friend, is why house hunting should come with a no ghosts allowed clause. All right, buckle up, because I've got a spooky tale that'll give you goosebumps faster than a succubus on a speed date. Picture this, Victoria's Black Swan Inn in San Antonio, Texas. Not your average wedding venue, but a lush paradise tucked away behind ancient oak trees, spanning 35 acres of pure mystery. Seems like the perfect spot to say I do, right? But rumor has it, this place is more haunted than a ghost town during Halloween. Built in the mid to late 1800s on a plot of land where, get this, 60 Mexican soldiers bit the dust in the Battle of Salado 50 years earlier. Talk about a historical horror show. The main attraction of spookiness? The barn behind the big house, the dairy farm turned ghostly hotspot. It's a supernatural Airbnb for spirits. Everyone from the Ripstein and Mahler families to Catherine, Blanche, and their whole crew are said to still be kicking it in the afterlife, roaming the halls and scaring the living daylights out of anyone who dares to visit. Hold on to your hats, the current owner, Joanne Rivera, isn't just running from these specters, she's embracing them. She and her fam actually live in this haunted mansion. And while it's not exactly an inn, unless you count the ghostly guests, she's teamed up with local ghost tour companies and even welcomed paranormal investigators into the mix. Talk about taking Home Sweet Home to a whole new level. Here's the real kicker. The paranormal activity might just be linked to a creepy porcelain doll lurking around the place. Rivera's got a thing for collecting dolls, and this one might just be summoning spirits faster than you can say, boo. So if you're feeling brave and you've got a taste for the supernatural, tune into Dark House for all the spine-tingling details and enough ghost stories to make your hair stand on end. Trust me, it's a journey you won't soon forget. Unless, of course, you get possessed by a mischievous spirit or two along the way.
All right, so picture this. Nestled in the quaint little parish of Falkirk, just a stone's throw away from Barnsley, stands the majestic Hodroyd Hall. Now, this place isn't your run-of-the-mill country house. It's got history, charm, and a whole lot of spooky vibes. So, Hodroyd Hall has been around since, like, forever. Seriously, it's been referenced as far back as 1144. That's older than your grandma's secret recipe for scones. And get this, it's not just any old house. It's a Grade 2 listed beauty, split into 3 private dwellings. But here's the kicker, it's also known as one of the most haunted spots in all of Yorkshire. Now, if you're brave enough to wander its halls, you might just come face to face with some of its infamous residents. We're talking about ghosts, my friend. Yep, you heard me right. Visitors have reported seeing all sorts of spooks, from a faceless man to a hunched-over monk, and even dark shadows creeping around like they own the place. But wait, it gets even crazier. There's this tale about a poor kitchen maid who met a rather gruesome end. Legend has it she was murdered and then chucked into one of the old fireplaces where she met her fiery demise. Talk about a BBQ gone wrong. And if that's not enough to send shivers down your spine, how about sightings of a nun, a monk, and even a dude named Dr. Bell casually hanging out on the staircase? It's like a who's who of the afterlife up in here. So if you're ever in the mood for a bit of a scare or just fancy a trip back in time, why not pay a visit to Hodroyd Hall? Just make sure to bring your courage and maybe a spare pair of undies just in case things get too. brings it.
Alright, so picture this. Sowden House in Los Angeles, California. It's this fancy schmancy Mayan revival home designed by Frank Lloyd Wright Jr., who was probably tickle-brained with ideas when he built this tower of architectural wonder at the bottom of the Los Feliz foothills. And get this, the house's facade looks like it was inspired by the opening of a cave or an ancient tomb. Talk about setting the scene for some spooky vibes. Back in the day, this place was party central for Hollywood's cool kids. But then, in swoops Dr. Carr, George Hodel in 1945, turning the joint into a potential crime scene straight out of a noir flick. Yeah, we're talking about the Black Dahlia case, one of America's most notorious cold cases. Rumor has it, all George might have had something to do with it. Imagine throwing a party and ending up on the suspect list for a Hollywood murder mystery. And the drama doesn't stop there. This house has seen more ups and downs than a roller coaster. It's been abandoned, haunted, and even had its fair share of ghostly sightings. I mean, who wouldn't be spooked if they saw a spirit in their basement? Now, let's talk about the architecture. This place is like stepping into a movie set of an ancient Mayan city, designed by someone who probably binge-watched Indiana Jones one too many times. Inside, it's all twisty passages, secret rooms, and a stage fit for some serious drama. And let's not forget about Dr. Cus Hodel's colorful decorating choices, an all-red kitchen, and an all-gold master bedroom. Talk about living life in Technicolor. So, next time you're in L, keep an eye out for the Sowden House. Who knows, maybe you'll catch a glimpse of a Hollywood ghost or stumble upon a hidden room filled with secrets. Just remember, tickle-brained architects and scandalous parties await.
All right. Buckle up, because I've got a tale that'll tickle your funny bone and maybe make you want to sleep with the lights on. So, picture this. We're in York, a city already steeped in history, and we stumble upon the Golden Fleece Inn. Now, this place isn't just any old pub, it's like a ghostly convention centre. Legend has it that this joint is so haunted, even the ghosts have a waiting list to get in. There's Lady Alice Peckett, former owner and possibly the OG ghost of the joint, who apparently still likes to rearrange furniture in the wee hours. And then there's a Canadian airman who fell folly-fallen from a window during World War II. Poor guy. Guess he couldn't handle the high life. But wait, there's more. Meet One-Eyed Jack, rocking a 16th century red coat like he's stuck in a time warp, waving around a pistol like it's a party favour. Plus, we've got a grumpy old man who probably just needs a good night's sleep, and a Victorian kid who got trampled by horses. Talk about a bad day at the races. Oh, and don't forget the Roman soldiers chilling in the cellar, because apparently even in the afterlife they're on guard duty. And get this, the Golden Fleece was even on the Most Haunted TV show in 2005. Talk about a celebrity haunt. But hold your horses, there's more to this tale. The Golden Fleece has been around since the 16th century, back when people wore tights and thought leeches were medicinal. It's seen more action than a Netflix binge-watch session. Even Dick Turpin, the infamous highwayman, crashed here before his final ride to the big house. And despite all the changes in the world outside, this place stands firm, like a rock in a stormy sea. It's a pub with a past, present, and probably a ghostly future. So, if you're ever in York and looking for a pint with a side of spooks, the Golden Fleece is the place to be. Just don't be surprised if your drinking buddy has been dead for centuries. Cheers to that, my friend.
All right, buckle up because we're diving into a wild ride. Picture this. Latoya Ammons and her fam moved into this cozy little crib in Gary, Indiana. Everything seemed chill until they found themselves knee-deep in what they swear was a demon-filled horror show. We're talking footsteps in the dead of night, weird shadow dudes, and even the kids doing their best Spider-Man impressions on the ceiling. Now, when your kids start pulling off stunts that belong in a superhero flick, you know it's time to call in the big guns. But here's where things get wacky. Half the town thought they were battling actual demons, while the other half were all like, Nah, it's just in your head, guys. But wait, it gets better. This tale blew up faster than a viral cat video. Ghost adventure dude Zach Baggins even swooped in, bought the joint, and tore it down, all in the name of paranormal exploration. And if that wasn't enough, Hollywood got in on the action too. Oscar nominee Lee Daniels is cooking up a flick based on this supernatural saga, starring none other than our fave Stranger Things kid, Caleb McLaughlin. Now on to part 2 of our spooky saga, LaToya herself. She moved into what can only be described as Satan's summer home. Black flies, shadowy figures, and kids talking like they just auditioned for The Exorcist. It was a real nightmare on Carolina Street. Things got so intense that they called in the cavalry priests, doctors, even the Ghostbusters probably got a call. Turns out the house wasn't just haunted, it was hosting a full-blown demon party. The kids were doing acrobatics that would make Cirque du Soleil jealous, and the adults were feeling like they were possessed by Monday morning blues. But fear not, dear friends, for LaToya and her squad weren't about to let some pesky demons ruin their Netflix and chill time. With a little help from some holy water and maybe a dash of Hollywood magic, they sent those demons packing and lived to tell the tale. So, next time you think your house is haunted, just remember LaToya Ammons and her gang. They've been there, done that, and got the t-shirt, probably one with a demon emoji on it.
All right, buckle up for some spooky tales from Ripon Workhouse. So imagine this. You stroll into the Ripon Workhouse Museum and boom! You're hit with a vibe that screams hopelessness and hardship, like it's going out of style. It's like stepping into a time machine straight to the 1700s, where the poor and destitute had it rougher than a tatterdemalion cat in a rainstorm. Legend has it that folks entering this joint had better pack a coffin in their suitcase, because chances are they ain't coming out any other way. Seriously, the death and disease rates were so high, they had to order coffins in bulk just to keep up with demand. Talk about a grim welcome. Now, meet Gordon, the OG ghost of Ripon Workhouse. Dude's been haunting the place for ages, making cameo appearances to unsuspecting tourists, and even sliding into a few Ouija board conversations for a spooky chat. Imagine trying to enjoy your museum tour and suddenly, boom, Gordon's there, giving you the old ghostly greeting. Classic Gordon. But wait, there's more. This place isn't just a museum, it's a full-blown paranormal playground. Picture this: dark corridors, creepy sleeping quarters, and a mortuary straight out of your worst nightmares. It's like a haunted house, but without the fun part. And don't think daylight saves you from the spook fest. Nope. Even when the sun's up, visitors swear they feel like they're being watched by invisible eyes. The female block gives people serious goosebumps, like the kind you get when you watch a horror movie alone at midnight. Plus the children's schoolroom? Yeah, that's where the ghostly kiddos like to hang out, playing hide and seek with the living. Classic ghost shenanigans. So if you're up for a dose of history mixed with a pinch of paranormal, Ripon Workhouse is the place to be. Just make sure to bring your bravest face and maybe a spare pair of undies, 'cause things are about to get spooky up in here.
All right, so picture this. You're cruising down the streets of Boise, Idaho, minding your own business, when suddenly you spot this house at 805 West Linden Street. And let me tell you, it's a sight to behold. Covered in soot, windows busted, and trash strewn all over the yard, this place looks like it's straight out of a horror movie set. But hold on to your hats, folks, because the real story behind this spooky house is even scarier. Now, locals have given this place some interesting nicknames. Some call it the Boise Murder House, which is pretty straightforward, right? But others, well, they've got a darker sense of humor. They call it the Chop Chop House. Yeah, you heard me right. Apparently that's a nod to the gruesome murder that went down there over 30 years ago. So, here's the lowdown. Back in '87, two guys named Daniel and Darren decided to turn this place into a real-life horror show. They shot and killed poor Preston Murr in the basement, then went all lumberjack on him, chopping him up into pieces. Can you imagine? They even hauled his body parts to the Idaho-Oregon border like it's some kind of twisted road trip. But here's the kicker. Murr almost made a run for it. He actually managed to escape from the house and ran to a neighbor's place, pounding on the door and screaming for help. But get this, the neighbor didn't answer. Can you believe it? Instead, they just called the cops, probably thinking it was some rowdy late-night party. Now, the creepiness doesn't end there. Oh no, my friend. Folks say this house has some seriously spooky vibes, especially in the basement. People talk about shadowy figures creeping around, weird liquids dripping down the walls. Real horror movie stuff, I'm telling you. But wait, there's more. One guy, let's call him Dan the Brave, swears he saw this freaky black oily blob hovering in one of the upstairs windows. It even showed up in a mirror on the porch. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. Despite all the bone-chilling stories, the landlord insists there's no haunting going on. But with a rep like that, who needs ghosts? This house has a reputation so bad it could scare the ghosts away. Crazy, right?
All right, buckle up, because I've got a tale that'll make your hair stand on end faster than a porcupine in a balloon factory. So picture this. East Riddlesden Hall, a 17th century manor perched above the River Aire, right smack in the middle of Yorkshire's paranormal hot zone. We're talking a place with more ghosts than a Lemur's convention. Now, the history here is as rich as a chocolate fountain at a billionaire's birthday bash. Built in 1642 by some big-shot clothier named James Murgatroyd, this place has seen more drama than a daytime soap opera. There's talk of a blue lady who took an unexpected dive into the pond and never quite left, and a grey lady who got herself bricked up for some marital mishap. I tell you, love triangles and ghostly squabbles, it's like Shakespeare meets Scooby-Doo. But wait, it gets spookier. Ghost hunter extraordinaire Mark Vernon claims he's captured one of these spectral critters on film. He waltzes into East Riddlesden Hall and boom, ghostly shenanigans galore. The ghost decides to make Mr. Vernon its new BFF, following him around like a lost puppy. Now that's what I call a ghost with commitment issues. And don't think the scares stop there. The place is like a haunted house on steroids, with more paranormal activity than a poltergeist pool party. National Trust ownership? Ha! Like that's gonna scare off the resident spooks. Folks working there have more ghost stories than a Lemura's storytelling circle. Kids wandering around, mistaking ghosts for tour guides. Classic mix-up, right? But here's the kicker. A staffer spots a kid in old-timey clothes wandering the halls, thinking he's part of some historical reenactment. Turns out the only thing historic about him is his ghostly status. Talk about a ghostly prank that'll make your hair stand up faster than a porcupine in a balloon factory. So, if you're ever in Yorkshire and fancy a good scare, East Riddlesden Hall is the place to be. Just don't blame me if you start seeing more ghosts than a haunted house realtor on overtime.
All right, buckle up, because this story is wild. So back in 1886, there's this millionaire heiress named Sarah Winchester. She's not your average widow. She's like the queen of eccentricity. Her family's loaded from the famous gun that won the West, but turns out that gun's got some controversy attached to it. Anyway, she decides to ditch Connecticut and start fresh in California's Santa Clara Valley after some serious family drama. Now, this lady is a boss. In an era where women were usually stuck following gender norms, she's out here managing her own finances and diving headfirst into her passion for architecture and design. She starts building this massive mansion in San Jose, which she names Lanata Villa, translation, house on flat land. But guess what? We know it today as the Winchester Mystery House. The house is like a cacophony of architectural chaos. Doors opening to nowhere, staircases leading straight into ceilings, and hallways that could double as a labyrinth. People start speculating like crazy. Is she trying to evict ghosts with her funky floor plan? Some say yes, but defenders swear she's not superstitious. Fast forward to 1924, Harry Houdini, the magician extraordinaire, swings by. He's on a mission to expose fake spiritualists, but even he can't shake the creepy vibes from this place. So he dubs it the Winchester Mystery House, and the name sticks. It becomes a Bay Area legend. Now, get this, over 12 million brave souls have visited since Sarah Winchester kicked the bucket in 1922. It's like a historical preserve meets a spooky theme park. And guess what? Helen Mirren stars in a horror movie about it called Winchester. The film spills the tea that Sarah wasn't just some crazy lady building a quirky house. There's a whole rifle fortune haunting her. The locals practically have this story on speed dial. An eccentric widow drowning in gun empire drama decides the only way to escape vengeful spirits is to build a bonkers mansion. And if construction stops, she thinks she's a goner. The result? The Winchester Mystery House, a monument to absolute madness. So there you have it, the tale of an heiress, a gun empire, and a mansion that's forever haunted by some seriously shady blood money. It's like a real-life horror story, but with a touch of comedy and a sprinkle of historical spookiness.
All right, buckle up for a wild ride through the halls of Temple Newsam in Leeds. It's like a ghostly soap opera up in there. So first off, we've got Lord Darnley, who's basically like the OG of Temple Newsam. He's the dude who married Mary, Queen of Scots, and kicked off the whole drama. Then we've got the Ingrams, who owned the place for ages until the Leeds County Council swooped in like, yoink, it's ours now. But here's where it gets juicy. Remember Mary Ingram? Poor gal got tangled up with some highwaymen on a tardy gated night. They jacked her pearls, and she was never the same after that. Legend has it, her ghost still haunts the joint, forever on the hunt for her precious bling. Visitors hear her cries and feel chills in the air, spooky stuff. Now fast forward to the legend of the Blue Lady. This tale's so famous it's practically the stuff of Leeds folklore. Kids at school have spun it into urban legend gold. There's even a creepy rhyme about her, like something out of a horror movie. Blue lady, you killed your blue baby. But hold on to your hats, because here's the twist. The Blue Lady might just be Mary Ingram herself. See, her granddad, Arthur Ingram, was loaded and gifted her these insanely expensive pearls. But one fateful night, she gets robbed by those highwaymen, and her world comes crashing down. She tears the house apart looking for her pearls, but they're gone. And so is she, tragically starving herself to death at just 14. Now, whether it's Mary or the Blue Lady, something's definitely going bump in the night at Temple Newsam. Doors slam, furniture rattles, and voices echo through the halls, all searching for those darn pearls. Looking back on it now, maybe poor Mary was dealing with some serious PTSD from that traumatic event. But hey, in the end, we might never know the whole truth. All we can do is grab some popcorn, enjoy the ghostly show, and maybe keep an eye out for any tardy-gated highwaymen lurking in the shadows.
All right, grab some popcorn and dim the lights because we're diving deeper into the twisted tale of the Amityville Horror House. Picture this. It's November 13th, 1974, a seemingly ordinary day in Amityville, New York. The DeFeo family, blissfully unaware of the nightmare that awaits them, is going about their business in their cozy Dutch colonial home. But little do they know, their fate is sealed within those walls. That night, tragedy strikes with a ferocity that sends shivers down the spine of the entire neighborhood. Louise and Ronald DeFeo Sr., along with 4 of their children, meet a grisly end at the hands of an unknown assailant. Only Ronald DeFeo Jr. survives, his innocence drowned in a sea of suspicion and accusations. Fast forward a year, and the once peaceful home on Ocean Avenue becomes a magnet for the curious and the brave. The Lutz family, eager to start anew, moves in, unaware of the horrors that lurk beneath the surface. Little did they know they were about to embark on a journey into darkness that would shake them to their core. From the moment they set foot in the house, the Lutz family's reality transforms into a living nightmare. Strange noises echo through the halls, chilling drafts send shivers down their spines, and a pervasive sense of dread hangs in the air like a thick fog. The original furniture and decor, remnants of the DeFeo family's tragic past, seem to hold secrets of their own, whispering tales of horror to anyone who dares to listen. As days turn into nights, the Lutz family's grip on reality begins to slip. Sleepless nights plagued by terrifying visions, unexplained phenomena that defy all logic, and a feeling of being watched by unseen eyes become their new normal. And then, just when they think it can't get any worse, they uncover the dark history of their home, a history tainted by bloodshed and malevolent forces beyond their comprehension. In a desperate bid to escape the clutches of evil, the Lutz family flees the house, leaving behind their belongings and their shattered illusions of safety. But the horrors they witnessed would haunt them long after they left Amityville behind. Their story, immortalized in Jay Anson's best-selling book and subsequent blockbuster movie, The Amityville Horror, captivated audiences around the world. But amidst the fame and the controversy, one question remains unanswered. Was it all a hoax? Or did the forces of darkness truly absquatulate within those cursed walls?
All right, buckle up because I've got a double dose of spookiness and hilarity for you, straight from the annals of Yorkshire's most haunted pub, the Black Swan. First up, we've got this ancient joint that's been standing tall for over 500 years in Helmsley. It's not just your run-of-the-mill pub, it's also a posh hotel and a Michelin-starred restaurant. Now, picture this. You're sitting down for a fancy dinner, minding your own business, and suddenly you catch sight of an old dude in a swanky suit strolling past your table. No, it's not your uncle who's had one too many drinks. It's one of the resident ghosts just doing their thing. And if that's not enough to give you the heebie-jeebies, imagine hearing mysterious noises in your room while you're trying to catch some Z's. Talk about a sodden-witted ghostly encounter. But wait, there's more. The Black Swan doesn't just serve up fine dining and eerie ambience. It's also got its own roster of spectral regulars. Picture this. A bloke in a bowler hat who looks like he's been stood up at the bar only to vanish into thin air. Then there's this smoking hot ghost bride who's just chilling by the fire, waiting to give unsuspecting blokes the shock of their lives with a fatal gaze. And don't even get me started on little Matthew, the Victorian pickpocket ghost who's probably nicking your wallet as we speak. Oh, and let's not forget about Jack the Highwayman, who's belting out Irish folk tunes in the kitchen like he's auditioning for Ghost Idol. And if you think you're safe from spectral shenanigans just because you're not in the bar, think again. There's a cursed chair lurking by the fire, waiting to cast its spooky spell on anyone brave enough to take a seat. And if that's not enough to send you running for the hills, there's a pair of ghostly legs making a break for it up the stairs, and a clay pipe that gives the builders the chills whenever they try to ditch it. Looks like the Black Swan is serving up more than just pints and pies. It's dishing out a healthy dose of ghostly giggles along with your meal.
Hey, so let me hit you with a couple of wild stories I stumbled upon. First up, we've got this real doozy about a ghost train that vanished into thin air back in 1911. Picture this. The train, called Zanetti, was chugging along with 106 passengers on board, minding its own business. But then, bam, it enters this tunnel in Lombard, and poof, gone without a trace, except for two lucky souls who managed to bail out at the last second. Talk about a close call. Now here's where it gets creepy. Those survivors, they swear up and down that just before the train vanished, things got real weird. People on board started acting all erratic, shouting and freaking out like there's no tomorrow. And to top it off, the whole train was enveloped in this eerie, milk-white mist that kept getting thicker and thicker. Spooky, right? And get this, no one could find a single shred of evidence that the train ever existed. Not a trace of soot, no passengers, Nada. It's like it vanished into thin air, remorseless as can be. But wait, there's more. Turns out this train wasn't content with just disappearing once. Nope, it decided to go on a world tour of vanishing acts. People in places like Russia, India, Germany, Italy, and Romania all claim to have seen it. In Italy, some saint wrote about stumbling upon a freaky dark tube made of steel filled with strangely dressed folks from who knows when. And get this, 104 Italians mysteriously pop up in Mexico in 1845. Claiming they're from Rome, but their gear is straight out of a time capsule. And just when you think it couldn't get any weirder, in Russia, folks swear they saw this phantom train cruising along tracks that weren't even there, mowing down chickens like it's nobody's business. And then, in 1955, at a railway station in Poltava, India, the same train reappears, and some poor soul gets sucked into it right in front of a crowd. Talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. So, what's the deal with this train? Beats me. Even after World War II blew up the Lombard Tunnel, we're still scratching our heads trying to figure out where it went and why it keeps popping up like a ghost, with a serious case of wanderlust. Spooky stuff, my friend. Spooky stuff indeed.
So, picture this, you're strolling through Hull, minding your own business, when you spot this ominous red brick building. Oh yes, the Anison Funeral Parlour, but hold on to your hat, because nowadays it's transformed into a late-night pharmacy. Talk about a spooky makeover, am I right? Now, you'd think with the place now selling medicine instead of burying folks, things would be all sunshine and rainbows. But oh no, my friend, the stories of ghostly shenanigans are still as rampant as ever. The pharmacy staff, well, they're like a bunch of tardy-gated turtles when it comes to venturing past the first floor or poking their noses into those abandoned rooms from the funeral parlor days. Can you blame them though? This place has more skeletons in its closet than a haunted mansion. And speaking of skeletons, let me tell you about Mary Jane Langley, the poor soul who met her untimely demise after a visit to this very building. Back in 1891, she popped in to see a photographer there, probably to get her portrait done or something, but after leaving, she vanished into thin air, only to turn up later with her throat slit. Yikes. Now, the cops had their suspects, including a guy with ties to Jack the Ripper, but nobody got pinned for the crime. Legend has it that Mary Jane's ghost still roams the halls of the Anison Funeral Parlour, scaring the daylights out of anyone who dares to wander too far. The stories don't stop there, oh no. Even the pharmacy crew have had their fair share of spooky encounters. I'm talking ghostly apparitions, disembodied voices, and footsteps that will make your hair stand on end. And get this, the folks from Most Haunted even paid a visit once. They tried chatting up Mary Jane's spirit, but all they got were some bumps and groans. Plus, there's this footage of a chair sliding across the floor all by itself. Can you say chills? So, next time you're in Hull and you happen to stroll past that old pharmacy, just remember, you might not be alone. And who knows, you might just catch a glimpse of Mary Jane herself, still haunting the place after all these years.
All right, gather round, folks, because I've got a tale straight out of Pepperell, Massachusetts, and it's a roller coaster of spooky seances, teenage angst, and a villain straight out of a horror flick. In the quaint town of Pepperell, Massachusetts, young Tina Bowen found herself embroiled in an enigma. It seemed that her late mother's spirit had found a way to communicate, reaching out from the beyond through the very walls of their home. Over weeks, Tina would discover cryptic messages inscribed in vibrant swaths of ordinary ketchup. Around her, the house appeared to be in constant flux, with items mysteriously relocating of their own will. Even more puzzlingly, unopened bottles of alcohol would spontaneously find themselves drained. Such were the paranormal phenomena that Tina was convinced were the doing of her beloved departed mother. Picture this. It's December 8, 1986. Bowen and her father returned home, only to be greeted by a sight that sent shivers down their spine. Hiding in their closet was an alien figure. Imagine the sight, a face obscured by paint, clothed in a Native American-style jacket. It wore a ninja mask and held a hatchet in hand. A bone-chilling moment that would be forever etched in their memory. He forced the Bowens into a bedroom before running off into another part of the home. Tina used the opportunity to escape and call the police. Authorities arrived and found that the stranger was a teenager named Daniel LaPlante, whom Tina had briefly dated, and he had been living in the family's crawl space for several weeks, taunting them all the while. Unfortunately, this creepy story doesn't end here. LaPlante would later go on to brutally murder a young teacher and her 2 children while he was out on bail for the Bowen family incident. At first, LaPlante only planned to burglarize the home of the Gustafson family in November and December 1987, but he was caught off guard on December 1st when Priscilla Gustafson and her children came home early. LaPlante later said that he had considered jumping out the window and escaping, but instead he opted to confront Priscilla, aiming a gun at her and leading her and her 5-year-old son William to a bedroom. There he forced William into a closet and tied Priscilla to a bed, gagging her with a sock. He raped Priscilla, then shot her twice in the head. After Afterward, he took William into the bathroom and drowned him. And when 7-year-old Abigail Gustafson returned home just as LaPlante was leaving, he led the young girl to another bathroom and drowned her too. Just 2 fleeting days after the crime took place, LaPlante was implicated, his ties to the scene undeniable. The gears of justice began to turn swiftly. When October 1988 rolled in, it brought with it the weight of his actions laid bare during the trial. A collective consensus emerged from the jury. LaPlante was unequivocally guilty of murder. The impact of the verdict echoed through the courtroom as he was dealt 3 life sentences, permanently closing the chapter on this gruesome tale.
So, let me tell you about Bowling Hall in Bradford. This place is like a time machine back to the 14th century, but instead of finding knights in shining armor, you'll encounter 20 restless spirits roaming around like they're rehearsing for the ghostly Olympics. Legend has it that even the Blue Room isn't safe from these spectral shenanigans. Visitors have claimed to see a dude in a long coat just chilling by the fireplace, giving off Major Boyang vibes. And don't get me started on the white lady floating around in her period attire, probably trying to find her way to a ghostly ball or something. But the real kicker, the constant sound of a crying baby echoing through the hallways like a never-ending lullaby from beyond. But wait, it gets spookier. Back in 1643, during the whole Earl of Newcastle debacle, things got real weird. Picture this, the Earl waking up in the dead of night, only to find his bedsheets yanked off by an otherworldly force. And who's standing there wringing her hands and muttering about pitying poor Bradford? None other than our friendly neighborhood ghost lady. Talk about a wake-up call. Now, you'd think after an encounter like that, the Earl would have a change of heart, right? Well, you're spot on. Instead of going full-on medieval on Bradford, he decides to take it easy and orders his troops to go easy on the townfolk. Only 10 casualties. That's practically a ghostly intervention. And it's not just the Earl who's had his fair share of paranormal experiences. The most haunted team once caught a crib rocking on its own during an investigation. I mean, forget about baby monitors, we've got ghostly babysitters here, and the Blue Room strikes again. Staff are so spooked they avoid it like the plague, claiming they feel like they're being watched. No wonder, with a creepy dude in a black coat lurking around and a floating lady in white playing hide and seek with the fireplace. But the fun doesn't stop there. Doors opening and closing on their own, disembodied voices chatting away, footsteps stomping down empty corridors. Bowling Hall is basically a haunted house party, and everyone's invited to get their spook on.
You're strolling through St. Louis minding your own business when suddenly you come face to face with the hell-hated Lemp Mansion. Now this place ain't your average haunted house. Oh no, it's like the granddaddy of all spooky dwellings in America. Legend has it that this mansion was built by Adam Johann Lemp, the beer baron who basically made lager-style beer a thing in the US. Now this guy wasn't content with just brewing beer. He had to store it in an underground cave system beneath the city. Talk about keeping your brews cool without modern refrigeration. But it was his son, William Lemp, who turned this place into the stuff of nightmares. In the 1860s, William decides he wants to be closer to his beer-making operation, so he builds this foreboding house right over those creepy caves. Can you smell the haunting already? But hold on to your hats, folks, because the real drama kicks in during the new millennium. Well, the 1900s version, that is. William's life takes a nosedive when his favorite son, Frederick, kicks the bucket thanks to tuberculosis. And it doesn't end there. William himself meets his end in the most tragic way possible: suicide. His wife Julia follows suit, dying of cancer right there in the mansion. Fast forward a bit, and things go from bad to worse for the Lemps. William Jr., who's been trying to keep the family business afloat during Prohibition, decides life ain't worth living and follows in his old man's footsteps, shooting himself in the same room where his dad died. But wait, there's more. Another brother, Charles, goes full-on bizarre, shooting his own dog in the basement before offing himself in his room. And just when you think the Lemp family couldn't possibly get any more cursed, the youngest surviving sibling, Edwin, sells the house. But instead of ridding the place of its spooky vibes, it becomes a hotbed for hauntings. Nowadays, the Lemp Mansion isn't just a creepy old house. It's a restaurant and inn where you can dine with the dearly departed, attend murder mystery dinners, or even go ghost hunting. Who needs Netflix when you've got a real-life horror show right here in St. Louis?
Howdy, folks. Ever heard of the Midland Hotel, the grand old dame of Bradford? Erected in the 1800s, it's more than just a swanky place for a midnight feast. It practically holds the title for Yorkshire's creepiest hotel. Enjoy the five-star spooks. In 1905, and you're not going to believe this, Bram Stoker, yeah, the very chap who penned Dracula, decided to hit up the Midland Hotel. He was there to cheer on his friend, Sir Henry Irving, who was performing at the Theatre Royal. I mean, who wouldn't want to support a friend who could probably play the lead in your vampire novel if he wasn't so darn alive? Well, that's where the fun starts. Now, Bram Stoker, the mastermind behind Dracula, he's not just any old friend of Irving's. He's a literary genius who probably knew a thing or two about spooking people out. So when he decides to pay a visit to his pal Irving at the Midland Hotel, you can bet it's going to be one heck of a story. Imagine Bram sitting there in the audience at the Theatre Royal, probably getting all excited about seeing his buddy perform. But then, just as the curtains fall and the applause rings out, disaster strikes. Irving collapses right then and there from a stroke. And before anyone can even bat an eyelash, he's gone. Talk about a showstopper, huh? Now, fast forward to today, and Irving's spirit is still hanging around the Midland Hotel like an old theater ghost who refuses to take his final bow. People swear they've seen him drifting through the halls, his figure obscured by a mysterious, smoky haze. It's like something straight out of one of Bram Stoker's own chilling tales. So next time you find yourself booking a room at the Midland Hotel, keep your eyes peeled and your wits about you. You never know when you might bump into Sir Henry Irving's ghostly presence, ready to give you a scare that'll send shivers down your spine. And hey, if you do happen to run into him, maybe ask him for some tips on how to write a killer ghost story. After all, who better to learn from than the ghost of a legendary actor, right?
All right, buckle up, because this tale takes more twists and turns than a Lombard Street joyride. Picture this. Patricia Montandon, the queen bee of San Francisco society, residing in her posh pad on the famous crooked block, Lombard Street. Life was all champagne and caviar until she decides to throw the mother of all theme parties, an astrology extravaganza that would make the stars themselves jealous. Now here's where things start to get as twisted as Lombard Street itself. According to Patricia's tell-all memoir, The Intruders, after that fateful night, her apartment turns into something straight out of a horror flick. We're talking eerie laughter echoing through the halls, ghostly tunes playing on an endless loop, and drafts so cold they'd make a penguin shiver. And let's not forget those mysterious footsteps, strutting around like they own the place, even when every door and window is locked tighter than a clamshell. But hold on to your hats, because the spooky shenanigans don't stop there. Oh no, Patricia soon finds herself the target of some real-life crime capers. We're talking burglaries, harassment that would make a telemarketer blush, and fires so suspicious they'd make even Sherlock Holmes raise an eyebrow. And then, just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, tragedy strikes. A fire breaks out in the apartment, claiming not one, not two, but 3 lives of Patricia's closest pals, all of whom had spent time in the cursed abode between 68 and 69. It's like something straight out of a Shakespearean tragedy, but with more ghostly whispers and less iambic pentameter. But Patricia isn't one to sit back and let the ghosts have all the fun. Oh no, she rolls up her sleeves, grabs her magnifying glass, and sets off on her own Nancy Drew-style investigation to uncover the truth behind the curse of 1000 Lombard Street talk about a socialite turned ghostbuster.
So, picture this. You're strolling through Yorkshire, minding your own business, when suddenly you get hit with the urge for a pint. La-di-da, right? But not just any pint, oh no. You want an experience, an adventure, a chance to rub elbows with some otherworldly patrons. Well, my friend, look no further than the Fleece Inn. This place has been serving up spirits, both the liquid and ghostly kind, for over 400 years. And let me tell you, it's not just your run-of-the-mill pub. Nope, the Fleece Inn is practically a paranormal theme park with more ghost stories than a campfire at midnight. We're talking murders, secret tunnels, headless horsemen, the whole shebang. Now if you're thinking, but why would I want to drink in a haunted pub? Well, let me tell you, it's not just about the booze. It's about the thrill, the excitement of wondering whether that pint you ordered might come with a side of ectoplasm. And hey, if you're lucky, you might even catch a glimpse of some spectral patrons waiting to be served. Just don't be surprised if you see faces popping up in the window like they're auditioning for a ghostly cameo. But enough about the spooks, let's talk history. The Fleece Inn, formerly known as Great House Farm, has been around since the 17th century. And let me tell you, it's seen some stuff. From fights ending in murder to handprints that just won't wash away, this place is like a living, or maybe not so living, history book. And as for the residents? Well, let's just say they're a lively bunch. There's Alina, the balloon-loving ghost girl who just can't resist crashing our parties. Then there's Harold, the cantankerous spirit who's always in a rush to clear out the function room. I swear, if you linger too long, he'll give you a ghostly tap on the shoulder and shoo you right out the door. But hey, don't take my word for it. Come on down to the Fleece Inn and see for yourself. Who knows, maybe you'll leave with more than just a hangover, like a first-hand ghost story to tell at your next dinner party. Want to enjoy a pint at what might be one of the most haunted pubs in Britain, never mind Yorkshire? Well, the Fleece Inn is the place to be. For over 400 years, the building has been a hotspot for paranormal activity, with reports of murders, secret tunnels, and even headless horsemen. The current landlady claims paranormal happenings occur at least twice a week, whether it be a glass falling off a shelf or members of staff getting a mysterious tap on the shoulder. Visit for a drink, and you might just see faces popping up in the window or ghostly customers waiting to be served.
So imagine this. You're cruising down the Hudson River, right? You pass by this picturesque Queen Anne house, the kind that just screams classic charm. But hold on to your hats, because this place ain't your typical cozy home. Nope. It's the Ackley House, aka Ghost Central. Back in the day, the Ackley family lived there, and apparently they had more than just your average house guests. We're talking about friendly ghosts roaming around, shaking beds to wake you up in the morning. Can you imagine? It's like having your own personal alarm clock from the afterlife. Now these ghostly pals weren't stingy either. They'd leave little gifts behind, like these mysterious baby rings. But here's the kicker. Those rings would mysteriously vanish into thin air. Just like that. Talk about a disappearing act. And get this, the ghosts were even helpful during renovations. Helen Ackley swore they were supervising her painting sessions. Can you imagine trying to choose a paint color while being watched by an otherworldly audience? I'd be flummoxed for sure. But here's where things get juicy. The Ackleys decided to sell the house, and along comes the Stambovsky family, totally clueless about the paranormal activity. Cue the legal drama. The Stambovskys find out the house is haunted and decide they want out faster than you can say boo. Can't blame them, especially with a pregnant wife in the mix. So they try to bail, and it turns into a legal showdown dubbed the Ghostbusters ruling. Picture this, the New York Supreme Court, weighing in on whether ghosts should be listed alongside leaky roofs and rodent infestations in property disclosures. Classic case of buyer beware meets spectral surprises. And guess what? The court ruled in favor of the Stambovskys, declaring the house legally haunted. Can you believe it? Only in New York, folks. So, the Stambovskys walked away with half their down payment, probably relieved they didn't end up with ghostly roommates. But hey, since then, the Ackley house has become a celebrity hotspot. Even musician Ingrid Michaelson called it home sweet haunted home. Moral of the story? When house hunting, keep an eye out for more than just a good deal. You never know who or what might be lurking in the shadows.
Thanks for joining us on this eerie adventure. If you enjoyed the chills, don't forget to subscribe. More mysteries await. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay curious.